Hello everyone, today in this video we will fight against the atoms character of our world around us, and this time we will look a little bit closer at the ongoing events. As we see, the news from Eastern and Central Europe are not very good for the Eastern Bloc. Eastern Bloc, I understand, of course, the core of this Eastern Bloc is Russia and China. We have also smaller components of this Eastern Bloc as North Korea and Iran, of course Belarus, and we see that military action in ongoing Russian-Ukrainian conflict that started in 2014 and in 2022 got a little bit more intense. We see that still Eastern equipment cannot surpass the Western one because the Ukrainian armed forces, I know that they are demoralized like entire country and society was, and they are not the best, but still having Western equipment, they can slow down the march and very often even stop the any advances of the Russian forces. So we see that still Eastern equipment cannot surpass by any means the Western one. That's why this is also another reason why Comrade Xi, current ruler of China, didn't decide to attack Taiwan. Taiwan that China regards as rebel province. With these territories like Taiwan, it's always a huge dispute who should be the owner of this island, because when we look historically, this island belonged to many nations that are around, and there is also a native population of Taiwanese people that is now largely suppressed by the being frank, dictatorship of Kuomintang, because it was never a very free country, especially since 1949, when the regime of Chiang Kai-shek, so-called Chinese Republic, had to keep the power quite tightly not to lose it, because they were and they are under constant pressure of China that cannot accept the loss of this very important island, strategically important, and now after some decades also economically important. So now we see that our Eastern Bloc of countries still by military means cannot defeat in the battlefield Western armies, even not Western armies, armies equipped in the Western equipment. So they still have to come back to old methods of subversion that were presented by the Soviet renegade who escaped from Soviet embassy of India, for which he was working, to the West. Mr. Bezmenov later presented the strategy created by KGB workers how to dominate and mentally and culturally destroy the nations they are fighting with. Because we know that for Soviets, war with the entire world lasts all the time. They have two types of war, non-kinetic and kinetic. Kinetic war, I think it's obvious, we know. What's that? When armies are having clashes and they are fighting with each other. But non-kinetic war, it's completely different story. This is the set of actions that are undertaken for many years to first demoralize the opponent, later destabilize, later induce crisis, and later normalize it. Normalize it means introduce communist and Russian and now also Chinese influence. We know already that Western world is completely demoralized due to the neo-Marxism march through the institution. This happened because Russian agents and Russian agents and Russian money did its job And when one starts demoralizing, this is the longest process. Later, it propagates on its own, and demoralized person, as we experienced this during last 2 years, 2020, 2022, when normal arguments based on the reality didn't reach to many people because demoralized person cannot distinguish facts from lies and is not able to think independently. That's why morality is so important, and this was discovered by ancient Chinese strategies, Sun Tzu, and later mastered by KGB officers under the leadership of Mr. Shelepin, former director, now deceased, of KGB. And the same methods Chinese are using, also dominating universities, research institutions in the Western world, especially in US and UK. So now still they cannot surpass the Western military equipment, that it's not even in Western hands. So they will, and they are still focusing on subversion methods to weaken Western societies even more, because in normal combat they cannot make it. So they are coming back again more and more to silent methods, maybe long lasting, but unfortunately very efficient, especially for demoralized societies like now the Western societies are. Nothing new under the sun, nihil novis sub sole in Latin. And what can we do? What we should do, I should say, we should take care of our traditions, of our morality. We should spread this knowledge about misinformation and propaganda, and oppose leftist representative in our governments that are intentionally or even unintentionally so useful idiots, spreading their propaganda and their lies towards the societies, weakening them, and thanks to this they are serving Russian and Chinese powers that they are making Western countries weaker. All the best, have a nice day, bye.